Why the Bananas?
My best friend was my whole family's Gambino. I was born Gambino, but my best friend Bobby G was related to Vinny Sal and Ronnie G. So
Enclave, if you will.
yeah, he made a lot of rich guys look broke. You know what I mean?
Okay, so Ronnie G did really well for himself. I think in a minute or so they show the house that he had. I think a $3 million house in Howard Beach, beautiful home. And what's interesting is he was with, I guess, Ronnie G. Ronnie G was a captain with the Bonanno family, but then also kind of indirectly with Vinyasaro, who was a legacy powerhouse captain with the Bonannos as well.
So it was like, you know, we kind of lived the glory days because we were still shooting people, still trying to kill people, constantly assaulting people. We were the last Mohegans, as they call us. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got the most heat from this. When you think of the last of the Mohegans in terms of the mafia and Cosa Nostra in the U.S., I think that title has to kind of go with the 1980s, late 80s, early 90s John Gotti regime. You know, they were still shooting people. Gene's right. There were some shootings, but there weren't any murders. Thankfully, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. I don't think it gives greater credibility if you have a better shot and you kill somebody. But nevertheless, I do think relative to that time, they were still doing crazy stuff, especially versus now. But yeah, respectfully, I can't take these guys as the last of the Mohegans.
I probably did more violence than guys that are older. You know what I mean? Guys that are over 50, I make them look silly. You know?
So I wonder the psychology of that, though. So I'm with you that you dealt with. So okay, so this makes sense now to me. You dealt with a wealthy guy, so you're young. That's aspirational,
right?
Now it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was trying to get G's a little younger than me, but you know, growing up, I always say, just my opinion in New Jersey, the real kind of last heyday of the mob was the mid '90s. But like, no way as an Italian American kid growing up and seeing Italian men from the other side who were in the life, and also American Italian men here. I don't know anybody who aspirationally wanted to be in the mob. So I was trying to tether or develop why he was so interested, other than just being born in the area.
Cool, if you will, to be part of a brotherhood, whether you're an associate or an inducted member, and you're Italian and you're in the area. So you know all that makes sense. You know, as you got older and it started doing more work, but also more beatings and shootings and that kind of stuff. Did it ever? And it's crazy to ask this, but did it ever challenge your moral compass, or were you just like, you know what, like you got over it quick, or maybe you have ice veins? Like, how did you kind of reconcile some of the?
No, it just became my normal, bro. It was my normal. It was normal for me. Hurting someone, doing something, collecting, robbing. You know, that was just our life. We thought that was what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you got a little bit of trouble. You knocked off a game one time that was
He goes in that story where he knocked off a connected game. Ronnie came, kind of had to give it back. You know, and the reason why, also another reason why you can't really call them last of the Mohegans, I think the discipline just wasn't there during his era. Although Ronnie G, even John Panisse used to say, very serious guy. I'll get to John, gets brought up a little later. But nevertheless, I just don't think the discipline was there. Let me fast forward a little bit.
See for yourself.
To be a gangster.
Oh, like, did you want to be a made guy? Did you want to be a captain?
Yeah, I wanted to be a made guy. I wanted to be run an area. I wanted to, do all that stuff. And at first it was sports, but then that got played out, and I wanted to be a street guy full time.
So as you're doing it, and as you get older, is it something that like it gets more and more exciting, or did you start to be like, oh shit, you know what? Like I'm gonna need.
Yeah, it was the easy money. You know what I'm saying? We all want the money. That's what everybody's chasing. If anyone tells you differently, they're lying. Most people just want it for the money. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was there for,
I was always.
Yeah, but we always talked about this. We talked about this on the Amy and Butt Man. Talk about it here. If you make it just about money, which it obviously looks like it's the case, it's not going to survive because then it's transactional. If you're going to join Cosa Nostra and you're going to be an inducted member, it should have a higher plane, almost like kind of like a religious epitaph, if you will. So as an associate, are they going to have that allegiance? Obviously not. And then the second thing I think organizationally they're having an issue with is because you're an associate and you're not a made guy, you're not obviously committing to a merita, right? But then once you do, are you going to be disappointed kind of once you get there?
I was interested in your story, not just because they interviewed you, but I was interested in your story because you kind of caught the real last of the heyday. You had the car, you guys were at, I don't know, probably Limelight, whatever was big back then in the city. Give us some of the trappings that went along with being kind of the last.
Yeah, I'm gonna fast forward to this. This is kind of the buildup. Gene did okay for himself. He didn't claim, and to this day, he never claimed to really be a big money maker who's around a lot of big money makers. So the thing I like about Gene is, again, we could push and pull on him. But one of the few things I would put in the positive column is I don't think he overrepresented his earnings in the life. Maybe his importance that we can push and pull on. And we'll talk about that in this unpacking. But definitely didn't claim to be a big money earner.
Sorry about my book. I was furious. They edited my book really bad. Right?
I didn't read the book. It got heavily edited. Louis Romano, one great guy. He wrote the book. Got heavily edited. Those who read the book, drop your comments below about the book. Love to hear about it. I haven't read it as of yet.
When you were, let's call it 2000. When did he flip Messina? I forget.
05, I think he came out. He was bad.
Okay, so you caught very little Messina, whatever, but they were very strong. So
Well, he liked Ronnie G a lot.
He did. Okay.
Yeah, Ronnie used to bring him pastries once a week to his house. Yeah.
That probably
Yes.
sells too, but fair enough. Got it.
Yes.
So he liked Ronnie G. So you're kind of on the right team, if you will.